Welcome back to our live. We're doing a Martin season 5 plus cash reunion. I didn't get your costume initially, but I get it. I get it. I get it. Who you want to announce who you are officially?
I'm Miss Grokey from Recess.
I'm just imagining her and just how I'm just imagining her. Actually, no, sorry. I was thinking of Miss Finster. Sorry, yeah, I remember Miss Grossy. Yeah.
You think about Miss Finster, the
The
old
old
lady
mean
with the
lady. Yeah,
the
yeah.
mean lady. That's who you thought I was.
That's who my mind went to initially because I remember her more than I remember Miss Finster. That's why.
That's really funny because one time I wore this like what I thought was a very lovely yellow dress, and I had someone tell me that I looked like Miss Finster, and they sent me like a picture of her like looking like haggard and everything,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is very rude. This is
Yes,
very rude.
I'd be offended too, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I was definitely offended.
All right, Martin, season 5. I guess we could start with season 5, and then we'll do the cast reunion. Um,
Before we start, I just wanted to ask who you are because I don't know who you are.
I forgot the name of what I am. I'm a plague doctor. There we go.
Ah, okay, okay. Hello,
I think
plague doctor.
2019 was the first year and only year I've dressed up. Well, excluding now that I dressed up for Halloween. It
Oh,
was cool.
really?
Yeah, yeah. I've never participated growing up. My mother was never a fan of it. Devil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it. I never really
Mm-hmm.
cared. I'd go out with my friends on Halloween, but I never really cared to dress up. Erica and I went to a party, so I participated. It's cool. It's cool.
It's fun, right? It's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't get it. Like it's
You
fun, but
don't.
it's not like yeah, no, like it's like cosplay. Like cosplay is very popular nowadays.
Uh
Um,
huh.
I don't get it. I get it, but like I don't find any innate desire or interest in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it could be fun, but I feel like it's only very, very fun when people like really, really love your costume. So if
Yeah,
it's like a very niche costume, people will eat it up.
like I wore this, and it's simple. Like I just bought a package, and it has the mask, it has the hat, it has the cape, and I threw in some chucks. Erica did this very elaborate costume. She was a vintage circus performer, and she was
Mm-hmm.
like, and her costume was her being mauled by a lion. She had like claws and everything. And everyone's praising me for the costume. And I'm like, I just bought this, like she put work into it, like give her props. And I think that's part of like that experience is like, there are people who like really put in work to like make these costumes come to life. Like they
Yeah.
they put their heart and soul into it. And then there are people who I just bought this and it's like, oh, that's so amazing. And it's like, nah, I just bought it. Like it's not there's no real artistry behind it, right? I think that's part of it. Like I like the artistry behind dressing up or costume design. I think that's what
It
I find more appealing.
it looks cool. I thought you were at first like the guys from the Mad magazine.
I get
I
that.
can't remember
The
their names. Those
um spy versus spy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the two guys that are always fighting. I was like, oh, it's one of those guys. And then I was like, maybe that's wrong. So that's why I was like, let me get clarification.
It's funny that I used to love the Mad magazines growing up. I used to buy them every month
Me
for
too.
like a year. That's funny and random. That we both
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find out the name of the character. Well, they're just called Black Spy,
And
White
White Spy
Spy.
probably.
Yeah, Man
Yeah.
in Black, Man in White. Yeah, that's interesting. Have you dressed up for Halloween before?
I have. I dressed up a lot when I was a kid. I remember one year my mom, I think she might have waited last minute for us to pick out costumes. And so she just gave us some like dark lipstick. We tied bandanas on our heads. We put on like cowboy boots and motorcycle jackets. And she was like, you guys are bikers. And me, my sister, and my cousin were dressed up as bikers. But I think the one time I dressed up for Halloween was my favorite is when I dressed up as Jesse Custer from Preacher. And I like, walked around, like I said before, I think I walked around with the eye patch on and doing this with my hands all night, and nobody got it because they just thought I was just a regular reverend. And I'm like, no, I'm Reverend Jesse Custer. But what can
Yeah,
you do?
I've never watched Preacher. I just googled Jesse Custer. Yeah, people don't. Like even with costumes, people rarely ask, right? They just make the assumption that, oh, she's just a regular
Yeah.
preacher. Like, nah, I'm trying to put some soul into this, and it's like, nah, just
Nope, nobody got it. It was fine.
Have you
You
ever
live and
gone
you learn.
trick or treating?
I think we're trick or treating maybe like one time, and it's just mostly you don't really knock because I grew up in Polo Ground, so we didn't really knock on people's doors. We just went down to the bodegas and the supermarkets and was like trick or treat, and they give us candy, and that was it. But nobody ever really like knocked on the door.
Yeah, I went trick or treating once. I, yeah, once in my life. Me and my mother just happened to be out like on Halloween night. Like I think we went to the grocery store, and I was like, like I want to go trick or treating. She's like, fine, fine. So she gave me a plastic bag. It was like the Chinese thank you bag. She gave
Yeah.
me that, and then I just went to like the pharmacy. I was like trick or treat, and they just threw candy in my plastic bag. I remember that. I just went to all the different stores around the neighborhood, and like some of them had stuff, some of them didn't, and I was like the first and
Yeah.
only time I went trick or treating. That was a fun memory.
Yeah, it's fun now. I feel like they do probably I'm more aware of it now because I have a nephew, but they do like activities in the neighborhoods for the kids to like, safely go out and do stuff with other kids. So
Right.
I walked today like the 10 blocks to the bus and I saw like tons of kids outside trick or treating from like supermarket to bodega to pharmacy. And I know up at the Bronx Zoo and the New York Botanical Garden, they have events for kids that are free for them to just go get candy, take pictures with big ass pumpkins. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Uh, having, I mean, I think growing up, I wouldn't consider myself a Grinch, but I've just never like been into holidays really. It's just like whatever. But like transitioning out of that mindset, and it's about family and it's about kids and like really just appreciating that. It's about community also, bringing people together. Last year, Eric and I went. Where did we go? I think we just went to like a dinner, and it just happened to be like a Halloween parade walking by, and we just
Yeah.
had like front row seats inside of the bar. So we're just sitting like on this big couch and watching everything, and like that's fun to me. Like watching everyone come together and just have fun and enjoy the spirit.
Yeah, I always just like holidays because they're fun to just hang out with your friends or whatever. And you could just like, especially when you get an adult, you get to make the rules about what the holidays are.
Right,
So it's
right.
like, oh, okay, we're not going to have it actually on Thanksgiving. We're going to do a Friendsgiving instead, and everyone brings their own food. So now it's like this fun potluck, or you do like a cool gift exchange for Christmas or whatever the case is. But I've always like loved the holidays. I love the end of the year. It's just like
Back
chaotic
to
but
back. Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. Back to
Yeah,
back. Yeah, yeah. I like that.
it's cool.
All right. You ready to transition?
Yeah,
All right. So we can start with Martin season 5. Um, a s- uh, it's a sad it's a sad transition, right?
definitely.
Like we watched the first 4 seasons. We watched the chemistry. We watched these. We watch Martin and Gina fall in love and have this amazing relationship. And even though I watched the series like 2 years ago, I originally thought once season 5 started, they kind of separated. But there still are
Yeah,
some initial episodes with them. But you can feel from the jump like it's just not there anymore, right? It
right.
just feels different, and then it just transitions into Martin and Gina not being on screen together anymore, and
Yeah,
it ruins ruin is a heavy word.
it does though. It's an accurate word.
I okay, but I don't want to say ruin. I want to say it takes away from the fantasy of like
Hmm.
of love and the story for me. Yeah, it took me away from the romance and the camaraderie, because a lot of what we've been talking about is how so well connected everyone is.
Right.
And everyone did their best on season 5, but it just didn't
Yeah.
hit that much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely like that you could like you said from the first episode, you can kind of feel like the dynamic of it has changed. And it also makes you realize how important everybody's character is on the show because Gina not being there is like painful almost sometimes watching the episodes when she's not there.
Right,
Just sitting
right,
there, just not even a chuckle because you're just waiting for her to come on screen or something.
right.
But yeah, it's definitely like, oh man, I wish she really was here. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. But I feel like ruin is the best word just because like I feel like it was so perfect. The how many of them are there? The five of them was perfect. And then it was just four, you know?
Yeah, it feels like a member of the family is missing.
Yeah.
And even with the finale, the two-part finale, and Gina coming back, it's like nah, this ain't it. Like this isn't what I fell in love with. This isn't the storyline I fell in love with.
At
And like
all.
watch and I don't think I think do you remember watching the Martin series finale when it like first premiered, or was it what did you watch it later on in life?
Um, I don't remember what I don't remember like I don't think I remember because it was such a long time ago, but I do remember at some point watching it when I was a little bit older and still not understanding what happened, like the dynamic of like what happened with Tisha Campbell and Martin Lawrence, and being like, where is she? And then like when that last episode happens, oh, they're not even in the same space. This
Right.
is weird. I don't like it. But that's really all I remember of it. I don't remember the first time watching it.
I think I watched it. I feel like in the '90s and 2000s when shows had their series finale, like that was an event. You made sure you were home, and I remember watching it. I'm not sure if I watched the initial episodes leading into it, but
Hmm.
like, seeing it, and it's like we're rewatching it now. Part of me was like, would it have been better if Gina just wasn't there at all? Like, just keep out completely, and just do what y'all been doing, because it's forced and it feels cheesy.
Hmm.
We get the necessity of it, right? It's backstage drama and tension, but it not ruin. I'm trying not to say ruin. It took away the illusionment of a perfect series, I feel.
Yeah. Maybe they should have killed her off.
Damn, you dog as hell.
Only only because I think I was reading a little bit about what happened after she left, and they
Yo,
kind of had to like
yo.
negotiate her to come back, but she was like, I just will not film with him. Like that's it, I won't film with him. And it might have been better just to have him, maybe, I don't know, to kill her off. Regardless, like I still love Tisha Campbell and I feel like she was perfect on that show, but it was so awkward. That was such an awkward season. Like it was unbearable to watch. Like I was watching some episodes, I think yesterday and earlier today, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is painful. This is giving me gas and heartburn.
Chico Fontaine agrees with you that it did ruin it. How did you feel the rest of the characters did in terms of stepping up? Like with one main character missing, everyone else gets additional screen time. There are more plots centered on different characters and their relationships. How did that stand out for you?
I don't know. It wasn't really working for me. I know
It was,
Cole gets a bit more screen time, and he has the new girlfriend, Shanice.
yeah, I
Shanice, and
remember her.
Shanice
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like a very dumb. She's a dummy.
They're match
She's a
made in
dummy.
heaven.
A match made in idiot heaven, and
Okay,
Pam was like, you could tell Pam was kind of like overcompensating for Gina not being there, and then Martin just seemed so sad. Like honestly, I was watching the episode where, and they were doing weird episodes too. So there's the episode with Pam's cousin Tammy escapes from a mental institution,
right, right,
and
right, 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 right.
I was like, oh, what is this? And then the whole episode, but Martin just seemed so like off. Like he seemed kind of off. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it was too big of a space to fill. But I would feel that way if anybody had left the show. If Tommy left, if Cole left, if anyone left, I would have been like, damn, this is just not the same because the dynamic between the five of them works so well.
I mean, let's talk about some of the episodes where Gina was there. It is Halloween, so I'm thinking about Booze in the House, season 5 episode. I can't even see through this mask. Episode 5, where Martin gets like a good ass deal on a house, and it's like
Yeah,
it's like a Scooby Doo type episode. Um,
yeah.
and I feel like for
Starring
me,
Mr. T.
yeah, that was like one of the last funny episodes to me. It felt a bit cheesy at times, like with the skeletons
Hmm.
and the props, but it felt like for me that I think that was like one of my last favorite good episodes. All of them together.
Hmm.
I can't see if. Oh no, no, the next episode is them playing basketball. But yeah, I think that was like my last favorite episode. Do you remember? Do you have any favorite episodes from season 5?
Definitely Booze in the House is one of them because it was so ridiculous. But it was like the kind of ridiculous you can get behind where you expect this from them. Like Martin's like, oh, it's a steal because again, he's a frugal bastard. So he's like, I'm gonna buy this house for us and we're all set. And then, of course he, you know, almost makes his decision without Gina. And then Gina's like on board when she realizes she likes the house too. Um, like you're right. That's pretty much really like the last like funny episode. The going overboard episodes when they were on the cruise ship.
Oh God,
Oh man, those stand out to me because it was so bad. And the how they had messed up. Oh, Gina missed the boat. Oh no, how what do we do? Oh look, it so happens that Cole is here, and
right?
I was like,
Everyone's here. Yeah,
this is hurting. But it was still pretty cool to see like Lynn Whitfield on there, and this was like around the time A Thin Line Between Love and Hate had come out.
right, right, right,
Um, but it's not a lot of standout. Chico Fontaine said he liked the basketball episode. I think that's the one with the WNBA stars, which is episode 6.
yeah.
But
I think they were just the dream team at the time.
mhm.
I'm not 100% sure. The only part of that episode that I like was the old guy who's just shuffling his feet. He's like, I forget his name. He's like, all right, you're on the court. He's
You
shuffling
know what's
around.
so
Yeah,
funny? He's in the first episode too. And like when you read the captions, it just says Mr. Old Man. He works
Mr.
at the
Old.
pharmacy and he sells
Right, 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 right,
the pregnancy test to Martin, but
right,
he's the
right.
shuffler who like threatened to beat her with the bat. but
And that's what it is in
beside
this
that,
Mr. Old Man. Even
yeah,
even in
yeah,
that 5th episode, he's Mr. Old Man too. Wow, son.
Mr. Old Man. Yeah, and I was
Fred
like, Mr.
Fred
Old
Pinkard.
Man. Because did you watch it on HBO Max?
Yeah.
So HBO Max, their captions are completely off. Air Gordon. Their captions
Hey,
are
Gordon.
completely
There we go.
off. So you have to like really like listen to it and read it because the captions are completely insane and don't make sense. But the last episode I think that stood out to me that I thought was like okay episode was Going for Mine. And that was the episode where Pam gets the opportunity to work for a record label. And
Okay.
that was supposed to be a spinoff for her to have her own show, but it didn't work out. That one was good. It had Jenna Von Oy on it, who plays Six on Blossom. She was also on The Parkers. Um, who else was in it? Phil Morris, Anthony Johnson, Dondre Whitfield, and Tyrese Gibson is on it too. So I like that episode a lot. I think it would have been cool to see Pam have her own show. And the cast that they had in mind already for that point was pretty solid. I feel like they had good chemistry.
Yeah, I like talking about Gina not being there and other cast members standing up. I like, and I mentioned like I think Pam. Growing up, Gina, I love Gina, but like watching as an adult, I really like Pam. There was an
Hmm.
episode where G, they're doing like it's not was it it's Calvin Kanai. I think it was like Calvin Kanai, and it was like this it was a clothing brand.
Yeah.
And instead of Gina being the lead, her boss, I think Mr. Whitaker, made Pam the lead. And I was just watching like the dynamic between Pam and Gina, and just thinking about Pam's job. I feel like she doesn't get a lot of respect at work. I feel like Gina's kind of like it looks like at work, Pam is Gina's second, and she's always been Gina's like underdog, which I
Yeah.
felt was kind of weird. Like she didn't get enough respect as a professional.
Hmm.
It was, yeah, Calvin Kanai. There we go. Yeah, yeah. And So speaking about brands, one thing I realized in episode 5, um, they really started wearing brand names like Tommy Hilfiger. Um, what other brands were there? I noticed, like, I think that's when Martin like really started wearing Jordans. Like they were very brand heavy. I feel in season 5 compared to season 4, where it was just like they had like a lot of original clothes. And in season
Mhm.
5, it's like, you know, again, the Tommy, they did like the Calvin Kanai brand, and I just thought that was weird. Thinking about black fashion and black clothing and how, it hasn't stood the test of time.
I think with the sneakers though, I feel like the sneakers stayed pretty consistent. Though the clothes did change, you can tell like they probably got like a bigger budget. But I feel like for the most part, like Martin always had on good sneakers. Like
He
he was
was
always
really
had on some nice
he
ass
mostly
shoes.
I feel, yeah, I feel like he mostly had on shoes, and like it was more like a professional look. Yeah, I talked about he dressed like a Haitian dad, like with his belt and his polo tucked in.
That's funny.
Um, I mean, do you have anything else to add for season 5?
Um, just that it was like I don't know, it was just really rough. There were a lot of guest stars, like even Jackie Chan, Keith Sweat was on
Jackie
here.
Chan
Like,
hooking up with Shanae, I love that, yo.
oh, Chico Fontaine said, oh, he went back to the basketball episode, thought that it was great because Martin really thought he could hoop better than any woman, including some of the greatest to play the game, male or female.
Right.
And then he says, nah, it's one of the greatest shows for kicks. Yeah, because I feel like Martin had always had on really good sneakers. But they did have a lot of guest stars. Even John Amos was on here as Tommy's dad too. So they didn't lack for co-stars and guest stars. But overall, it just made me sad to watch because I just really miss Gina.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So before we transition into the cast reunion, I wanted to go over some posts. Like, so on Spotify, I did a question. Um, which sitcom do you love more between The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Martin? Um, most Two people voted; they chose Martin. So I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
because I feel like those were the Martin and the Fresh Prince were kind of like the go-to all-encompass black shows for like all generations. And I remember having a Twitter conversation where people were like, "Nah, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is more funny," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Nah, like Martin has always kind of been standard." And rewatching it, Martin definitely, has that crown for me. Is
Yeah.
there any competition between the two for you?
No, Martin all the
Okay,
way.
okay,
I liked Fresh Prince of Bel Air. It was cool, especially when I was a kid, because I share the same name as Tatiana Ali, and I wasn't aware that that was her name. But when I was a kid, like my teachers would point out, "Oh, like Tatiana Ali," and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And then I realized it was Ashley Banks.
got
But
it.
it's two different kinds of comedy, I think. I've always kind of leaned towards Martin Lawrence comedy wise than Will Smith. Not that they're the same, but yeah, I always was a big Martin person versus Fresh Prince. Like if Martin's on, I'll watch it. If Fresh Prince is on, I'll look for something else.
That's
not
fair.
not because it's
I'll
bad.
see what episode it is, and then I'll consider it maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Chico Fontaine goes for Martin as well. I mean, yeah, I
Oh,
don't
that
know.
was
Like,
Erica.
oh, okay, I didn't even see that. Erica loved Martin. She was having a blast while watching. Um, so the next follow up question is actually something we discussed on the first episode.
Hmm.
Who has a better who like name a better romantic couple outside of Martin and Gina. And I'll add the invite to the chat in case anybody wants to join. So this, it was a TikTok post, and people loved it. A lot of people went for Dwayne and Whitley from Different
Hmm.
World. Um, I don't think they compare because for me, Whitley was a little too bougie.
Hmm.
Gina is a bit more grounded, so their love feels a bit more balanced. Martin's a bit more ridiculous. Uh, Dwayne Wayne, he's cool, but he's he's more of a geek, right? Martin is a bit cooler, so I feel like the love that Gina and Martin had, it feels cooler compared to the love that Dwayne and Whitley had.
Do you think it's like your top? That's your top, right? Like
Martin and
for
Gina,
yeah.
uh,
Because I know before you said Al Bundy and
oh yeah, I mean yeah, I think like the other spectrum, like the other
Mhm.
spectrum would be Al Bundy and Peg Bundy, but I think Martin and Gina might be my yeah. I think I'd say they're my top couple.
I'm still gonna have to stick to Living Single having like some of the best couples because the dynamic between Overton and Sinclair, Khadijah and Scooter, and Maxine and Kyle were all like very funny and entertaining. Um, and like they're not the men in those relationships were not as annoying as Martin was. Even though the dynamic between Martin and Gina works, I feel like really well. They weren't as like obnoxious as he was.
I get that. Um, Chico Fontaine disagrees. He says he thinks that Dwayne and Whitley had better love than Martin and Gina. Erica, I'll let you in a second. There's also Rock. People wrote Rock and Eleanor. Like four people like that and think that they had a
Oh,
better love relationship than Martin and Gina, which is interesting. Heathcliff Huxtable and Claire Huxtable. And I was like, yeah, like that. They have a great relationship, but it's for me they're older, so it's like well
mhm.
established. I think part of great love is that it's new, it's invigorating. You're learning each other, you're finding each
Yeah.
other. Erica jumped off. Okay, um, a lot
DJ
of
DJ Daryl DJ said he agrees with me about
living
living
single.
single.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huxtables, Carl and Harry Winslow. I saw that and I laughed because I know you hate Carl Winslow. No, you don't hate you can't stand Carl Winslow.
Harriet, Harriet, Harriet. No thanks.
Um, James in Florida. I've never watched Good Times. Have you?
Yes, I watched a lot of Good Times.
What kind of
A lot of
relationship
Good
do
Times.
James in Florida have? Would you compare? Would
Not one
you?
that not one that I want. That's that struggle love. No thanks.
And the last one
I
was
feel like
Will
if
and. Go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna
No, no,
say
go ahead.
that if they had like a if they had a little bit more of a less turmoil in the fact that they were like just very very poor and no one's always yelling, then
No,
maybe. But
I can't do this mask anymore. God damn, that shit is harsh.
I was wondering how long you were going to keep that on.
Uh, After a while, it just starts hurting. So I had to say F it.
I thought you would be sweating in there.
No, it's actually not that bad. And the last one was, what did I say? Yeah, Will and Lisa,
Well,
and I'm like, hell no, like nah, like Will Smith, no, 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 no. Will Smith is too like his character is too goofy for me. I think that's for me. Fresh Prince is it feels like a very young show, even though Will Smith,
mhm.
I feel like he was older during the show. They're in high school, they're in college. Like I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that type of love.
Who was Lisa? Was Lisa Nia Long?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
I Chico Fontes says he agrees with Clifford that the Huxtables are different because they're older. Same with the Winslows and Evans. I don't care. Carl Winslow was obnoxious.
Harry,
He just got
I
on my
love,
nerve.
I love the
Harriet,
way he
Harriet,
imitated.
Harriet. Because that's how he used to do it. And, Harriet used to just put up with it. And I'd be like, man, I don't know how Harriet did it because I would have been left his ass. I would have been out of there.
Oh man, I love
You
it.
know what? You know what? People don't ever say Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian.
That is true.
How come? I like them together.
You know why? So for me, I'll say because they switched up Aunt Viv. I like the original Aunt Viv more than I like the new
Yeah.
one. Um,
Yeah.
she had a bit more drive and personality, acting chops. She was for me she was a more well defined character.
Phenomenal dancer.
Yeah.
She's great. Janet Hubert. Erica said they seem miserable more often than happy. Who did? Who was
Who did?
miserable? Was it the Phil and Vivian? I liked them together. I thought they were, because they both like came up together from, living roughly and then getting it together. She
Right.
was his support system. Oh, the Winslows. Yeah, they were, Erica. They were miserable because of Carl
Of,
Winslow.
no, because of Steve Urkel. Steve Urkel ruined their life. That's why.
Steve Urkel did not listen. If they didn't want Steve Urkel there, they could simply have locked the door. But instead, they invited him. They invited him in. They would invite him to stuff all the time, and they get mad at him for breathing. I
It's
feel,
a
justice for Steve Urkel.
just DJ ads. To me, they were. I can't see because of the glare. There we go. They to
Oh,
me
it
they
says
were
yeah.
seen more as a parents than a couple.
Mm,
The do you mean Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
think he
see
means Uncle
that.
Phil and Aunt Viv. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't. I mean, you see them be romantic with one another, but their first priority was, raising that badass Will Smith.
So you feel Uncle Phil and Vivian have a better relationship than Aunt Phil? Oh, excuse me, Aunt Phil than Carl Winslow and Harriet.
Yes, yes, because Uncle Phil, like as far as father figures go on black TV shows, Uncle Phil was one of my favorites because sometimes he could be a bit of a, I feel like a dweeb, but he was always and consistently there for Will and Carlton and all of his kids. But like Carl Winslow was just like, it's there's something about that face that I just couldn't stand. That man deserved an Emmy for that show because I could not stand him. But everybody knows the father I hated the most. If you didn't know, you know this now. Was the dad from Moesha. That I
I,
it
I didn't
was
watch
if
that
I
show
ever
that much.
see Frank, I think his name was Frank. Frank was the worst dad on TV. Just he called Moesha a slut once. Like he had a secret kid. He was a real bastard.
All right, let's transition into the Cash reunion. Um, you can lead. You can lead. I've led a bit. How did you feel about it? Initial thoughts? What you got?
Um, I feel like I don't know. I don't think there needed to be a reunion. I mean, it's always good for the reminiscing, I guess, for the fans who are interested in it. But um, I feel like sometimes the reunion shows don't really add much um, to the dynamic of the show for you unless they were coming with some like secret fact. Um, but it was nice to see, Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell in the same room and like laughing. And they even, had Thomas Michael Ford's widow come out, which I thought was cool. And I also thought it was very cool that Marla Gibbs was there and Snoop Dogg was there. So that was really cool. And Marla Gibbs had just had a birthday. She's like 92 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I just look. She's 91.
She
Yo,
looks great.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Marla Gibbs. I hope you're listening. You're lovely.
I loved it. I mean, I love reunion episodes, especially when it comes to the Black experience. When it comes to shows that have been pivotal. Like I watched the Different World reunion episode, which I thought was beautiful because I think it's important to connect with the creators, the actors, the people who have been, pivotal in our lives, pivotal in the
Hmm.
Black experience, and just see them together, right? Like so much of the Hollywood experience is, people work on these shows together, they work on movies together, and then it's like I don't talk to them, no one talks to each other afterwards. Maybe I could do that. Oh, that works. Okay, I'll just do this the
Yeah,
whole
that
time.
works better. Yeah.
Oh, what a difference a little shield makes, right? Um, it. I think it's important, right, to for the nostalgia, but to also show people like the importance and value of what goes on in terms behind the scenes, like hearing them talk about like everything we talked about, they talked about. They talked about the physical
Right.
comedy and how like in depth the acting is in terms of like them making each other laugh. They talked about the importance of the audience, which you talked about also, right? They talked about the foot stomping and how that drew them into knowing that they were really doing a good job. I didn't really like Afion Crockett as the host. It was like, he's alright, he's alright. But I think overall, it was dope. Like, I love the memoriam for Thomas Michael Ford. They had his widow there, and they had his two children.
Yeah.
I love that they all spoke. I was watching his son's body language, and his son seemed disinterested. So I was wondering if maybe they didn't show up at the funeral, like the real funeral, and his son is like,
Oh,
this is Cap, fuck y'all, But
I mean, it could be
just a
that. Who
thought,
knows? Or it could
right?
just be like the idea of being in front of these cameras and probably
Right.
like not being in the, in the front of cameras ever. And it was like the first time. So that can be a bit unnerving. Also, like, it could just be weird to, just be on TV.
Right.
I would feel about like your dad that passed and you're there and then you're just like,
Right. Um, I love like some of the things they revealed. Like they talked about Big Shirley, like where did Big Shirley come from, and Carl Anthony Payne knew someone named Shirley, and Martin had worked with I forget the exact name, but someone who named Shirley, and like like some of the things were just them showing honor and tribute to people they've met through their lives. It was revealing, I feel, and I think it's good to get those little nook and crannies behind the scenes. Like you said, it was good to see Martin and Gina, yeah, Martin and Tisha
yeah,
interacting, and like I think coming from the tail end of watching season 5 and like, ooh, and to seeing them
yeah,
together and be like, there's like a little bit of relief, Like
yeah,
it feels like there's closure for the show, right? I think the reunion
yeah.
offered a bit of closure, and I might go back and like watch season 5 with like a different perspective now. I'll try my best.
Good luck with that.
One episode, of season 5.
Yeah, good luck with that. It was just so painful to watch. But I also just like watching Tashina Arnold and Tisha Campbell just talking and doing stuff together because they've been friends since they were like children. And I mentioned this before, they had done Little Shop of Horrors together.
Right.
And even when Tashina Arnold was on Everybody Hates Chris, Tisha Campbell guest starred on it. So it's always like very nice to see them working together because they are two people that I feel like have amazing chemistry on top of just being like very good friends. So that's always nice to see two friends reminiscing.
Yeah.
Oh, DJ Daryl DJ said, any love for Jamie Foxx and Francesca? So Jamie and Fancy from the Jamie Foxx show.
I
Yeah, you
don't.
know what? Yes,
You like them?
yes, I like them
I'm
because it was he pined for her for a long time, but I
he was
feel like they
simping. I'm all
also
right.
he
He's simping.
was he was, but when they did get together, they had really good chemistry. They had
I,
good
I'm
chemistry.
I vaguely remember the Jamie Foxx show. 'Cause I feel like I always used to watch it after the brothers, and Wayne's brother was always funny. I'm not a fan of shows where men chase women for years. Like that's like fuck all that. Like that's corny to me. So nah. I feel like
I
Jamie
mean,
Foxx
like,
had a lot to offer. And like you they get together because the show needs it, but it doesn't feel genuine or authentic, right? Because it's like 3 years of him waiting. I'm I
but I think it was different because she was initially not interested in him, and if he was, you know, would relax a little bit and understand that, he could have just, moved on. But I feel like that's the dynamic for a lot of these like romantic shows, like even with The Office. Robert and Jerry.
Oh, from the
Erica
Parenthood.
said Robert and Jerry. I like them together
Yeah,
too because
yeah,
we
absolutely.
talked about how they were like very lovey dovey, which was very cute. Um, so I do
Chico
like that.
Farsane said, "Why do I hate romance? I love romance. I don't love simping or chasing for years. Like nah. Like respectfully, right? Like initially I was gonna say no woman. No one's that special that you should be chasing them for years and like putting your life on hold trying to get with them. Like that's what I hate and I don't believe it. I love romance, but it has to be mutual, right?
Yeah, it definitely has to be mutual. That's what I mean by like Jamie, and even like when you look at Jim from The Office, like, get it together, go do something else, which he ended up doing.
Go
But then
do
he
something.
realized, you know what? Who am I fooling? I love that woman. I'm going to go back for her, which is
Right.
appreciated. But I feel like I haven't watched the Jamie Foxx show in such a long time. But I feel like when they got together, it was one of those things where the show is building up to that inevitable thing. Because even with the the spin-off episode for Tashina Arnold's in the Going for Mine episode of Martin, you could see already that they were kind of setting up some kind of like romantic dynamic between her and the guy Trey. And you know it was going to be one of those things where it was going to be like it was going to take 2 seasons before they got together. But I
Right.
think they do that to build up like the interest of everything. But also like Fancy was she was like beautiful and she was great. So I'm assuming like just a lot of guys were just like Fancy is the shit. Because even Braxton wanted some of that fancy,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right. Right. Jamie and
Chico
Fancy were
Fontaine said,
good.
Chico Fontaine said Jamie and Fancy were forgettable. It was done already with Dwayne and Whitley. All right, calm down on Fancy, man.
Like simmer down. You talking about Fancy a little too much. Like chill out, bro.
Whoa,
Chill
whoa,
out.
whoa. She's a beautiful
Um,
queen.
I don't have anything else for the cast reunion unless you do.
No,
All right.
no, I don't.
So to close out, we're gonna talk about what else about Halloween. So favorite Halloween movies, TV episodes. Um,
Yeah.
I had to think about this. Gotta think about.
Did you?
You got some stuff?
Heck yes, I got some stuff. I got so much stuff. Let me start.
I
First
got
of
so
all,
much stuff.
for like my favorite like Halloween movies that I really really love watching is always going to be I'm staying with like the of course Black Culture Podcast. I'm talking about my black things, of course. So I'm going to say Tales from the Hood, which is always the best.
Which
People Under the
just
Stairs.
the first one, or like the second and third one?
No, no, no. Just the
Of a
first
series.
one. Just the
Okay,
first one.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure because it went real left after first.
Yeah, just the first one. So Tales from the Hood, People Under the Stairs, which I feel like is just scary, and
I've
also
never
just
heard
gets
of that.
into like you've never heard of People Under the Stairs?
No, no, no.
Oh wow, you got to watch it. Ving Rhames is in it. I think it was directed by Steven Spielberg. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it follows this young man who is trying to like he like I think he like lives in the projects and he is trying to make some fast money for his mother who is sick, and he ends up getting into some trouble by sneaking into this house of these like white people that live in like a pretty like they like live in a black neighborhood. They sneak in to steal and end up getting trapped inside the house, not realizing that the people that own the house are insane. They're like literally insane. They're keeping their daughter prisoner. There are people literally living under the stairs, not
Like
just
Harry
like one,
Potter,
like
literally.
not like Harry Potter, worse than Harry Potter. Like at least Harry was getting some food. These guys is just down there. Just it was a mess. Um, I like Bones a lot, which is it's not like fantastic, but it's fun to watch. And that's Snoop Dogg starring in a horror movie, and then Bianca Lawson's in it, and it's cool. And Pam Grier's in it. As far as the Halloween episodes go, any Halloween episode of Martin is good, even though it's like there's not like there was a ton, but the ones that he had were great. Um, TV show wise, I'm trying to think of anything else TV show wise that I liked, and I can't think of anything. But those are my jam.
I don't think I have any. So growing up as a kid, I didn't like scary movies, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that would have been like the prime time to like watch a lot of scary movies or like black scary movies. I can do like TV shows like Tales from the Crypt was
Mm-hmm.
like a good a fa- I love staying up Saturday night and watching Tales from the Crypt. Like I've been looking to buy the DVD. I think I'm gonna buy that eventually because they were like
You
always great
should.
original
Yeah.
stories. Um, Movies, I can't. I'm not too familiar with that many black horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting. And
You should.
Halloween
You should look
t
some up.
episodes. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, I definitely plan to. And I can't really think of like Halloween episodes. I just kind of blurred through them. Like nothing really stood out. Nothing's really stood out to me.
I forgot to mention. I don't know if you have seen, but both Candyman movies I enjoyed. The original first one and the
Right.
remake one I thought was great too. Yahya Abdul Mateen, I think his name is, amazing in that. And then even the one with Tony Curtis is great. I like looked it up real quick while you were chatting, and then I don't know how I missed this because I just watched this last night. I watched Get Out.
Right, right,
I like
right. Like
Jordan
I'm
Peele,
right, 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 right. I'm forgetting about
so
those. Right.
yeah, like those are all three of the movies he did. They were very good. Nope is not a horror movie, but I feel like people cast it in that genre, so I will say Nope was very very good. Get Out I like, and Us I like too. So hmm
There was a I thought it was called Thinner, but that's not it. I remember watching
Dinner.
this horror movie on Channel 11 that I liked with this
hmm
black guy. I forget the name of it now. Um, Get Out was Get Out was cool. What was the other one by Jordan Peele?
Us
Us. Yeah. I don't like to
and
me they don't. I don't know if they. I haven't watched no, but they don't feel like horror. I don't know. I feel like horror is a different genre
it
nowadays.
is.
Yeah. And I think that's why I don't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't associate Jordan Peele's movies as horror really. I feel like they're more like thrillers, I guess, and like thriller is different than horror. Like how do you differentiate between like thriller and horror and all the different variations?
I would say, I guess depending on your mindset, or like, I would say that Us would qualify the most as a horror movie. Um, I guess Get Out would, I would say, slash thriller horror, but a lot of people also call it like dark comedies. Erica said they're more psychological thrillers. That's true.
Right. 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 Right.
Um,
Erica's a horror expert. She knows.
yeah. And then she asked, "Have you guys seen Nope yet?" We saw Nope. I thought Nope was great, but it wasn't horror. It was like it is what it is. It was a movie about aliens, but it was great. I thought it was really great. Um, but yeah, mostly I feel like when horror, it's like ghosts, vampires, ghouls, all that stuff. But like then you have movies where like Babadook, where it's grief is the monster, and I would
Right.
still count that as horror, but it's also like psychological. DJ Daryl DJ said True Spawn is categorized as horror in IMDb.
which which it ain't. That's hilarious.
I mean, it's kind of horrifying, but yeah, like, is it horror? I even saw, because I typed in black horror movies and they put Ma in there, and I was like, Ma's not really like a horror movie,
Mm,
and it's not really like a black horror movie just because one black person is in it.
terrorizing these white kids. I actually like Ma a lot. I like
Ma
because
was great.
they were terrorizing the white people. I like movies like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Um, Outside of black horror movies, in like recent years, I think in the last 2 years, me and Robert really liked Malignant, like so much. I don't know if you saw Malignant. Get home safe,
Nah,
Ma. Chico
I
Fontaine
haven't.
said. Chico Fontaine said, "Get home safe, Ma." Making fun of Ma. But you should watch that. You should watch Malignant. It's very weird, but it's good. There aren't
I'm
any
trying
black
to.
people in it though.
Rotten Tomatoes has the 25 best essential black horror movies. Bones. Have you seen Bones?
Yeah, that's the Snoop Dogg movie.
Okay, yeah. Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight. Okay, that's Tales from the Hood. Blackula from 1972. They
I've never
consider
seen Black.
Blade a horror movie. That's interesting, right? Just like they do with Spawn.
I think it's because he's a vampire, and I think it's
Yeah,
because with Spawn, he's dead, right? He's dead.
yeah. He's a
Spawn is
vampire. He's
dead,
dead. Get
and
home
John
safe, Ma.
Leguizamo's dead too, right?
Yeah. JD's Revenge, Black Box, Blade 2, Sweetheart, The People Under the Stairs, which you mentioned, Death by Temptation, The Zombies of Sugar Hill, Vampire in Brooklyn. Didn't really feel like horror. I mean, but I get it. Angela
It's
Bassett's in
like,
it also.
yeah, I think it's comedy horror, a horror
Yeah.
comedy, because that's a thing now too.
I remember watching the original Candyman as a kid and being terrified. I was a little scared ass. Yo, I was scared. I had to use the bathroom once. Let me see. I think Friday the 13th was on in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and to get to the bathroom, I had to walk to the living room. The light was off in the living room, and I was scared to walk through the to go to the bathroom. So like, it took me like 10 minutes, and I just like ran through the apartment to, to fucking go through.
Yeah, that's how it
Uh,
be sometimes. Um,
Beloved, go ahead,
Beloved
Ryan.
is a horror. Beloved is a ghost. It's not horror. It's a ghost story though.
Okay,
But I feel like
Eve's
they're using
Bayou.
that's not a horror either. I mean, it is a horror in some sense, but it's more like a thriller than anything. I don't. Have you ever seen Eve's Bayou?
No, I haven't.
You should watch it. It's a very very good movie.
I'm gonna go through these black horror movies. Um, The Boy Behind the Door, Ganja and Hess, His House.
That one is good. His house is
His House
good.
was good. Yeah, Erica and I watched His
Yeah,
House. I like that a lot. Yeah, that was dope.
that was
And
great.
that's when like they were migrants in like this new neighborhood. Yeah, that was good.
Hmm. Did
The
you ever
newer
get
Candyman.
a Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you ever get around to watching Lovecraft Country?
Yes, 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 yes. I did.
Did you like it?
Uh, it was okay. I wasn't
Mm.
like captivated by it. Yeah, I think it was okay. I mean, I feel like there's just kind of an influx of shows like that. So
Hmm.
for me, it's just like seeing black people in it doesn't add any oomph to it. It's just like I've seen this before. It's just black people doing it now. That's kind of how I feel
I
about shows like that.
I think you should give it another try because I feel like in that specifically, adding that extra layer of race to it makes it even scarier for the protagonists on the show.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll look at it with blacker eyes.
Yeah, you gotta look at it with real black eyes.
Um, so any what about some of the white horror films? Meryl G
uh
loves Lovecraft Country.
White horror films. Let's see. Man, I could go on forever with that one. I love the Conjuring universe because those always scare the shit out of me.
I like those
Insidious,
too.
the Insidious movies scare me, especially the first three. I think there's a fourth one too. The fourth one I didn't think was that good. Um, what else?
Paranormal
Like I said,
Activity.
Paranormal Activity probably one through four, but there's I think like six or seven of them now. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot. I liked The Grudge. I liked The Ring.
I
I liked
hated The
the
Ring.
originals.
Yeah.
Ju-on, which was based on the Ju-on, which is The Ring is based on. That movie is very scary. A Tale of Two Sisters is another Asian horror movie, and then they remade into I can't remember the new name for it, but that was good. It was okay, not that good. Um, but yeah, I really just like horror movies a lot, so I'll watch anything. I like the new Suspiria. I thought the new Suspiria was good. I thought the old Suspiria was good. Meryl said that Twilight Zone was scary to her as a kid. Yeah, me
Me
too,
too.
because I used to
Yeah,
watch it
absolutely.
New Year's Eve when they would do the marathon, and I'd just be
Yeah.
sitting there just shivering in my boots.
It's
Um,
like scary because it's weird and like this. It could be this universe, right? Like it feels very
yeah,
connected. Like it didn't feel too far fetched. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and I think I used to watch a lot of X Files. X Files used to scare the shit out of me. Uh, DJ Daryl DJ said I watched The
I love
Grudge in
that.
theaters and drove home with my inside car light on.
Oh man.
when, when I watched the original Grudge, oh, actually, I messed up. The original Grudge, which is called Ju-on, the original Ring is called Ringo. When I watched Ju-on for the first time, I watched it by myself in the middle of my living room, wrapped in a blanket on a computer chair, and it was pitch black in my house. And I don't know, it was the dumbest decision, one of the dumbest decisions I ever made. I was so terrified. I couldn't believe that I was so dumb to do that. What else am I thinking? Dark Water was good. I liked Dark Water, which takes
What?
place on
Yo, I
was
walked out of the theater on Dark Water. That movie was trash to
really?
me. Yeah, I
I
walked
liked
out.
it.
I was like, yo, this shit is trash. And I left. I was like, this shit is trash.
It was good. I liked it, and I liked the original because again, that was a remake too.
I love that.
But yeah, horror is my favorite genre, so I watch a lot of horror movies. Yeah, see, Chico Fontaine agreed. You on was terrifying. That scared. I was like, I can't believe I did this. I couldn't sleep. My heart was beating so fast. I thought I was dying. But yeah, I don't know what kind of white horror movies do you like?
Um, Eric and I watched the first Freddy and Freddy movie, like Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never watched that. We watched the first two actually.
What?
For me, they stand up well. I like them. We've been watching the like the last two Halloween Ends, Halloween Kills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. There was a movie called The Gate that I used to watch that I used to love as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
There was yeah, I remember watching the Exorcist for the first time and being scared shitless. I was in my mother on Saturday nights, and Meryl G might be able to confirm this for me. Um, Saturday nights, my mother used to drop me and my sister off at a friend's house, and they do whatever. Maybe they go party in a club, and I don't know. And one of her friends had like roaches in her house, so I'm watching that. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm awake. I'm watching The Exorcist, and I'm watching a roach crawl on the screen, and that shit just terrified the living hell out of me.
The roach.
Chico Fontaine, The Gate, he knows it. Meryl G, Fallen with Denzel Washington used to be the scariest movie to me. Spirits jumping from body to body. That's too real for me. Damn.
Yeah, that was scary. That was a scary. And I think it has Elias Koteas in it too, who was my childhood crush. He was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I spoke to Chico Fontaine about this before.
Okay.
Um,
He's speaking about Francesca. You talking about all your past boos. I get it. It's fair.
yeah, yeah. I forgot to add like my favorite series is of all horror movies is Scream. I love Scream the
Okay.
best. I'll watch every Scream movie. And then when I saw Erica's costume, she was Casey from Scream. I
Right,
was
right,
like,
right.
oh my God. So I sent her a picture because Robert had bought me a shirt and it has Casey on it, crying on the phone, um, about before she gets murdered. But I love those movies too.
The first Scream, I don't remember the second Scream that much, but I remember I mean, like really going to movie theaters and like being
Mhm.
immersed into that experience and watching with a group of
Yeah.
people. I'm old now, so like I said, I like to go when I like to go to movies 1 o'clock in the morning by myself, you know. But watching Scream and like in the theater, like having that experience was definitely dope and terrifying.
Yeah, my dad took me to see. My dad took me and my sister to see it because he is the reason we love horror. Me and my sister, he took us to see Scream, and we screamed the whole movie because we thought that's what we were supposed to do. So every time something happened, we were like, ah, ah. It was great.
All right. Unless someone from the chat wants to join in and add, we're gonna wrap up. I'll send the invite one last time. Um, yeah.
Oh, see,
Go ahead.
Erica said she yelled when I sent her the photo because I sent her a photo of me wearing Casey on my shirt, and behind me, Robert was wearing the Scream mask on his shirt because we were
That's
matching
cool.
because we went to Halloween Horror Nights. And when she sent the picture, I was like, "Oh my God, Casey!" Because it's a great movie.
Have you ever done any like haunted Halloween like events, anything like that? Or, like a haunted house, anything?
Yes. Hey, Erica. Yes. So I went to Mexico. Me and Bob went to Mexico, and we did a horror thing in the jungle.
That's
And
cool.
somebody grabbed my leg while I was walking across one of those swinging bridges.
Bruh,
Man,
bruh.
I was sweating. I was terrified. And then last week, we went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, which was fantastic. And I am going back next year because it was fantastic. It was a real good time.
That's good.
What about you,
Erica?
Erica? Have you been to any horror-y things lately?
Hello? We can't hear you. That's weird.
Oh no.
Did you check your audio settings maybe? No? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. It's weird. I guess we'll wrap up. Um, so next episode is on Aquila and the Bee. That's dropping on Thursday. And then we'll do the YouTube live for that next Thursday. As always, thanks for rocking out with us. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining and adding to the dialogue. They said it
Thank
won't let me
you.
unmute. Okay. All right. Peace. Peace.